If you're new to woodworking, then these are 3 router bits you gotta have for your collection. Plus, tips and tricks on how to use them. Hello folks, well this video is aimed for beginners and I want to talk about a very versatile tool, and that is the router. The router can do incredible things for you in your shop, and when you combine it with a router table, it can do even more. Now, if you would like to build your own little router table, well, I will tell you more about that at the end of this video. But for now, I want to talk about 3 router bits that you need to have in your shop. Well, I have to be a little bit honest with you. Initially, when I started this video, it was 6 router bits that you need to have in your shop. But when I started editing, the video got to be kind of long. So I decided to make it into 2 parts. So think of this as part 1 of 6 router bits you need to have. Okay, without further ado, let's take a look at the first router bit. So the first bit up is the 1/4-inch spiral upcut bit. Now, I like this bit for a couple of reasons. One, it's great for making grooves. Also, 2, you can use it to make mortises. Now, the reason you want the spiral upcut is because if you were freehanding it with a router, this bit will actually pull the chips up out of your mortise. But since we're going to be using a router table, well, we don't have to worry about that because the router bit chips will fall out. Now, before I start using the router, I want to go over a couple of real basic safety things. Besides wearing your hearing protection and safety glasses, it's real important to pay attention to the direction that the router spins. Now, if you cut it going the right direction, it's going to cut no problem. But if you try cutting going the opposite direction, the router can actually run away from you. So here's a couple of real basics that I like to keep in mind on making sure that I move the router in the right direction. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to be cutting something on the inside, like on this box I have a groove. If I'm working on the inside of the box, I like to think of the hands on a clock, and the hands move in a clockwise direction. If I'm working on the outside of the box, I think of the outside of this clock, and I just do the opposite, so I would be moving in a counterclockwise direction. Now, I'm using the router table here, and so I don't really have to think of that comparison of the box, but I still need to pay attention what direction I move my material across this. And so I'm always going to want to start with my material on my right side and move it over to the left. Okay, with that out of the way, let's put in the first bit, which is the spiral upcut 1/4-inch bit. So I have the router bit here into the table, and let me explain a little bit of my setup. To make that groove, I have the bit raised up a 1/4-inch from the bottom, and I also have it a 1/4-inch away from the fence. Now, a nice little thing I like to do to get these settings is I go to a big box store. I just buy some square stock. In this case, it's 1/4-inch, and I can easily use that to feel to get to the height, and also I can use it to place it behind it to keep it away from that 1/4-inch away from the fence. To safely push my material through, I'm going to use a push pad and a push stick to aid me in this. That's the groove. Now let's make that mortise. Now, I didn't change the settings for this example. I still have it raised up a 1/4-inch and still a 1/4-inch away from the fence. But you notice that I have these stop blocks clamped on here. These stop blocks are in relation to the length of how long I want the mortise to be. So essentially what I'm going to do is I will put the back of the piece here against the stop block, with this spinning, I will lower the bit down, and then I will move the piece forward till it hits the other block, turn it off, and then I should have my mortise. And there we are. The next one is the rabbet bit. Now the rabbet bit does exactly what it says. It can make a rabbet joint for you all the way around your board. Now what I like about this is it works really well with the spiral upcut bit, because that groove we made, well, now we can fit this rabbet into it for either a drawer or a box. Another advantage of having the rabbet is this could literally be a drawer. This piece could be the front, and this could be a side, going together, making a nice, sturdy, strong rabbet joint for a drawer. Here's the setup on this one. I have the rabbet bit raised up a 1/4 inch, and it's automatically set a 1/4 inch away from the fence because I keep the fence and the bearing all lined up together. And I'm using some 1/2 inch material on this one, and whenever I route, I want to do the end grain first. Now you'll notice that as the bit came out the back side, see, it blows it apart. This is why you do the end grain first, because now I could run it going with the board, and that should be eliminated or go away. But if, let's say, I'm not going to put a rabbet on this side of the board, the way that I'll prevent that is I'll put a sacrificial board on the end of my little sled here. I'll make the cut again. And this time you can see that the edge did not blow out. I have a little bit of fuzzies here that I can clean up with some sandpaper, but I have no damage to this corner. From this point, if I wanted to put rabbets all the way around it, I can now go with the grain of the board. I don't need my little miter sled on there. The third bit today is mostly a decorative one. This is a 3/16 round over bit. And what I like about this is you can see I can make a just soft little round over edge on it. And it also can make you a unique profile, what they call a thumbnail, where it has this little fillet on here. This is a nice little feature, and this bit does both. What I like about this bit, depending on how high or low you have it, is going to give you a slightly different profile on your piece of wood. Now, once again, I keep the fence in line with the bearing on it. And let me make a cut on this. And you can see I have a nice smooth round over edge. Now if I raise this bit up a little bit, we now get to the straight part on this, and it'll give us a slightly different profile, which they call a thumbnail. So now you can see I have just this, I have the round over and just this little step on it. Just a nice little detail that when light hits this, it creates some shadows, giving you more depth to your piece. So there you go, that's part one of my router bit series. That's the first three. The next three are coming up in the next episode, and you're not going to want to miss that. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said if you wanted to build your own little router table, well, there are plans available. In the description is a link, and there you can find not only the plans, but a PDF with photos to help you build and assemble your own router table. Now, a couple other things that I want to talk to you about real quick. If you don't know about the newsletter, well, I would encourage you to sign up for it. It's free, and the next newsletter that goes out is November 5th, and it's chock full of good woodworking information. And do you have a project that you recently have finished or currently are working on? Well, check out our Facebook page called What Are You Doing? There you'll find other woodworkers just like you that are willing to help, encourage, and inspire you to do better. As always, if you have a woodworking question on a project that you're doing and are looking for some help, well, feel free to write me at woodchoppingtime@gmail.com, because after all, my whole goal is to make you a better woodworker. Until next time, thanks for watching, and keep on dancing.